This is verse 16 of the first chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. We're reaching the end of the genealogy that's been provided by Matthew. Of course, it follows and it varies somewhat from the genealogy provided by Luke. The very fact that the two don't track with each other exactly has been an argument that they are working quite independently. If they'd been aware of each other's work, they might have taken a little trouble to make sure that they coincided a little better. And the differences between them have generally been chalked up to the fact that probably one is tracing the genealogy of David and the other of Mary. Mary is separately said to be a descendant of David, and so that may be the fundamental explanation for it. There may be more technical problems along the way that could be resolved in a more lengthy conversation than this one, but for our purposes we'll make note. We have Jacob here, Jacob de Ageneson from Genao, to be the father of Ton Yosef, and that is of course Joseph, who turns out to be the husband of Mary. The interesting thing is that in Luke's account, the father of Joseph is said to be a character by the name of Heli, H-E-L-I. So we do have an interesting difference there. Various opinions have been offered. It may be that by marrying Mary, Joseph became the son-in-law of Heli, and maybe that was the true father of Mary. There's other thoughts that maybe someone died and Joseph married her to raise a seed, as was a Jewish custom, to the deceased brother. One way or another, it appears that Joseph was probably marrying his cousin, Mary, and that would also account for some of the fact that the two lines sort of hit and miss each other along the way. But one way or another, we have this Jacob, Jacob, the father of Joseph, and then he is said to be Ton Andra, the man, literally, in the accusative here, Ton Andra, Marias, in the genitive of Mary, eggs, this is the preposition ek, which takes the genitive. We have the relative pronoun here in the genitive, singular, feminine, so of whom, referring to the feminine, Mary, of whom agenethe. This is the same word, genao, but this now is in the third-person singular aorist passive indicative. So of whom was born, and then Jesus, Jesus in the nominative, ho, again the nominative, lagomenos, from lego, I say. This is the present passive participle, masculine singular nominative. So of whom was born Jesus, the being called is the idea in the present participle, Christos, the Christ. So of this Mary, and Joseph, as it reads right here, is born Christ. Now, of course, Matthew is going to correct that impression by giving us an account of the virgin birth, but Joseph, having adopted Jesus, could still be said to be his father, and in that sense the statement that's being made here would be correct. So we've reached the end of the genealogy. We arrive at the birth of Jesus by virtue of Joseph and Mary, both of whom are descendants of David, both of whom should, of course, on that basis alone have been considered royalty, nobility in Israel, but they had been more or less disenfranchised. The Hasmonean dynasty is actually in place, and they've become, as it were, the usurping royalty among the Jewish people, and these two are living in apparently relative poverty at this point. But one way or another, we reach the end of the genealogy, which arrives, of course, at the birth of Christ.